Welcome back to the Prime People Podcast. In an industry that tells you to always be closing, today's guest has spent nearly 2 decades proving that the real wins happen when you always be caring. Kim Heizmann is one of Oakwyn Realty's top producer and a multi-year Golden Heart Award winner. She's mastered the hardest sector of real estate, relocations. Today, we're going to be talking about moving entire lives across the country under massive emotional and financial pressure. If you're an entrepreneur, a service professional struggling with burnout or transactional fatigue, today is your masterclass on how to scale your business without losing your soul.
Welcome to Prime, real conversations in real estate.
I can tell you that we have actually experienced the Kim Heizmann experience personally by sending clients across the country, and it was absolutely exceptional. We work with referral partners across the world, actually, and Kim definitely stands out as one of the very, very best. So Kim, welcome to the Prime People Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So give me a little bit of your background in real estate. Like, how did you end up in the position that you were into now? And then we'll dig into your systems.
So I started back in 2007 because my husband thought I'd be a good realtor. So I was like, oh, okay. So I dove into it and quickly was surprised to find out that I absolutely love this industry. So that was 19 years ago, this June, that I joined real estate and worked with both buyers and sellers throughout the years. I've also been involved in organized real estate, which what that means is, being a volunteer and a director on our local real estate board, as well as being committee members on our national CREA association board, as well as I'm the incoming chair for the British Columbia Real Estate Association. So those roles have put me in a position where I am able to be at a table where conversations are happening about our industries and our industry, and bringing a realtor perspective to those roles. And then in as well, work-wise, I have a family team. So I work with both of my adult sons. They're both licensed realtors. And my husband is our support. He is my everything, do everything, anything kind of guy. So it really, truly is a family affair. And it's fantastic. I never thought I would work with my kids. And it has been, it's been a great learning process, but also it's pretty awesome when I can talk to other people and their families and they feel like they're being handled and supported by a family. It just brings a personal level to the experience. So yeah. I really enjoy that.
I would say, like, when we sent you the first referral I ever sent you, it was a very personal experience. Normally when an agent sends a referral to another agent, they, make the introduction, but there's usually not a lot of communication that happens as to what's happening with that friendship that I sent over to you. You were quite the opposite. I mean, you communicated with us every step of the way. You were asking us, opinions and giving us feedback, which I thought was so critical. Very personalized touch. How do you scale the personalized touch when you're doing so many things? Do you have systems for it? Is it just innate? I'd be so curious about how you do that.
No, there's systems, 100%. So what happened is back in 2018, I joined Richard Robbins, which is a coaching organization. And they really had me have a deep dive and look into my business. And I realized that I was doing a lot of referral business with agents across the country. But if I had to be really honest, I was dropping the ball with some of my colleagues because I wasn't getting back to them or letting them know what was going on. Sure. I had received surprise commission checks where I'm like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot that I had sent that referral out. So it was when I had a really good look at my own business, I was like, man, I got to figure out a system where number one, people aren't getting surprise commission checks from me. Sure. And number two, I really believe that if we as agents work as colleagues and care about each other, that rolls into our client's experience on both ends. So I wanted to make sure that any agent that refers me a client is someone that can stand on the other side and say, you know what, I knew exactly what was going on. If their client called and said, oh, guess what, we found a house, they can say, yeah, Kim had told me and I'm so excited and it looks amazing and all that kind of stuff. So no one's being caught off guard if anybody is calling and their clients are calling. And
Mhm.
I think that shows our clients that we're both professionals that way.
Sure. Yeah, there's a
Right?
lot of integrity I think that gets lost in the referral world. So the consumers have no idea how it even works. And the one thing I don't like doing is ever sending a referral where, I was at a very big brokerage back in the day. And what they would do is they would say, "Oh, you got a referral for such and such market. We'll just call that office." And you would get some junior agent that has no experience. And I always thought that was really weird because if I'm attaching my name to the introduction that I'm making and they're not getting somebody competent, it's just wild, right? And the other thing
Yeah.
that you mentioned about keeping us posted every step of the way, like I knew when you had an offer accepted, I knew when you weighed conditions. So when I talked to that client, I was up to speed and it wasn't like I was just getting paid for a referral and I was disconnected from the transaction. I was actually involved. And, it's the reason why when Rob on my team had a referral, I sent him over to you immediately without even thinking twice because I knew it was going to be handled with care. When you made that switch with Richard Robbins, and you started being more intentional, did you find that you were getting more repeat referrals from your network?
Oh, yeah. When I look back at my numbers, because I actually have presented this system to that organization and to all
Mhm.
of our members a couple of years ago now, I had a look at my numbers. And at the time, like this past year, I just presented it actually a couple of weeks ago as well to a Toronto team. 36% of my business last year was agent referral only.
Mhm.
And then my business is probably about a 90% referral. So the
Wow.
rest of that referral is sphere of influence, strategic alliance, all the past clients, that stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to be able to section out agent referrals. So it's a big bulk of my business. So I wanted to make sure that I am making sure that those agents are feeling just as connected as if they were a client. So yeah, it was showing me that it was really important to make sure I had systems for it.
Love that. There's actually, I could introduce you to Mike Heddle. He's been on this podcast a couple times. Good friend of mine. We were just talking about this the other day on the business side of real estate, and his whole premise. He actually presented to my team, and he said a lot of people think they can build a business on sphere of influence, right? Like
Mhm.
they're core people who are going to call and repeat business. He's like, in pretty much all real estate businesses, you're lucky if that's above 10%. In reality, like you're going to have to build these other pipelines of business. He actually said number one was agent to agent referrals and being known as the go-to agent for your market. And then obviously advertising, marketing, and organic and digital, which is going down a bit of a wormhole. But I want to stick on the topic of the system. So like, what are the tangible things that you did that had the biggest impact? Like, what did you decide to systemize first?
So it is very, very simple. I have 6 simple emails. That's it.
Hmm.
So it's email templates where if you've sent me a referral, you're going to get either a text at the very beginning, either a text or an email saying, "Hey, we've connected." Now, most of the referring agents I ask to send us an introduction email so that I can reply all,
Of
so that
course,
you know immediately that I
automatically
have
you get
reached
it.
out.
Yep.
So that's first contact. And then a lot of relocation is I'm coming in 2 weeks and I need to buy a house. So when that happens, it's okay. We have appointments. We are going out. They're coming this weekend. Here's what's going on. I'll let you know how we go. And then the next email is, guess what? We found a house. We've got an accepted offer. Here is the offer price. Here's and this is information to the agent. So here's the office price. Here's the condition removal. We'll keep you posted.
Mm-hmm.
Then on condition removal, we say, hey, guess what? We've removed conditions and this is what the referral check is going to be. And you should expect it on this date because here's the closing date. Then the next email is congratulations. We just handed over the keys to so-and-so and so-and-so. And we've really enjoyed working with them. Closing or key handoff went fabulous. They're super happy. And thank you very much for the referral. The next email, I think, is one of the most important ones, is 2 weeks after closing. I always send an email saying, hey, you should have received your referral check by now, just making sure you got it. Because we have caught a couple of referral checks have gone to wrong offices. And the agent's like, oh no, I didn't get it. And so we were able to catch it, make sure that they got the referral check, and they were happy about that update. And then the most recent email that I've just added this year, just because I'm more thinking with my coach and stuff, is I'm going to be sending out a request for feedback to my agents referrals and saying, hey, you just experienced my system. Anything I should have changed, What did you like about it? What should I update? Or would you refer me again? So that is the simple communication. And that's what everybody loves to see, is just to know what's going on. And then how I've done that, if it's a seller referral, I've added the referring agent onto my marketing emails that go to the client. So my marketing emails, especially in a brand new listing, are 7, 14, 21, and 30 days, just to so the seller knows how their listing is performing online. And if you had referred me a seller, you'd be getting those exact same market updates. Whether you look at them or not, I do not care.
Mhm.
But the benefit of you doing that is because you're the referring agent, you are the first trusted source.
Of course. Yeah.
So if our client is trying to sell their house here and you're their first trusted choice, and you can see that I am doing absolutely everything I can, I'm marketing it to the fullest, and I need to talk to them about a price adjustment, you now are in my corner saying, yeah, everything is being done. This is what the numbers are telling us. I agree. Or you could have a conversation with me and disagree
Mhm.
of whatever we need to do. But I want to be able to trust, and I like trusting my referral partner that way when it comes to sellers.
I think those are such key points, right? And I mean, sellers and buyers don't even get this level of experience when they work with most agents, let alone referring parties of other agents. But so clean, so systemized, and it's simple, right? I think you
Very
didn't
simple.
overcomplicate it, and you just made it easy and repeatable. I think too, when I think of people that are relocating, there's probably a lot of like high levels of anxiety and stress that come with people moving across the country. How do you manage and mitigate that through the process?
You listen a
Mhm.
lot. I think a lot of people, it depends on the person too, right? We've got so many different personalities out there. You've got someone that might feel comfort in having a to-do list of, okay, where am I going to find a doctor? Where am I going to find school for my kids? Where am I, where do I go to get utilities, all that kind of stuff. So if you've got that kind of person, making sure that they have that list to be able to go by so that they can tick it off, that helps with anxiety. If you've got that emotional kind of person, being able to talk to them about how they're going to feel in their new neighborhood, and just making sure that you're addressing and honoring the emotional part of it for them is going to be huge. If you're dealing with that person that is like stats oriented and want to make sure that you know what you're doing, making sure that they're totally informed of what's going on in the market, how that market's behaving, and so that they feel like, okay, I've got the person that knows what they're doing, so they're going to feel more comfort that way. And then people like me went, so I'm like, I don't know if you've ever done like a disc assessment or a
No, I've
color
never done
assessment or
any of
anything
those.
like that. I'm basically explaining the different colors, right,
Okay. Yeah,
of people's
for
personalities.
sure. Yeah.
And the last one I left is someone like me, which is is an orange. And we just want to have fun. We want to
Mhm.
have fun through the process. We don't want it to be too serious. We want to make sure we're getting looked after, but like, don't be too staunchy. Don't, so I make sure that if I've got someone like that too, we're going to have fun through the process too. You can't have too much fun for that person that wants to make sure that you've got all the details and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Because then they think you're misbehaving somehow.
Yep.
But there's a balance of figuring out who you've got in front of you and how you can honor how each person is different, and hopefully mitigate their anxiety when they're moving across the country.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I have one client I was thinking about. He relocated from Ottawa, very detail oriented. And I found out later it's because of his job and his backstory and history. A very difficult client in the beginning until I realized that that was his personality. I'm very much the fun guy. I'll send gifts to my clients and everything else. But I recognized early on, if I did that, he'd deem it as unprofessional and that I was a
Yes,
goofball. But now we're actually at that stage, and I've cracked him because I'm able to give it to him as much as he gives me. And it's been a 4-year building of that relationship and trust. And I think that has probably the most to do with it, especially understanding where you're at in the stage of the relationship. You said it earlier. I send you a referral for the first time. They don't know you. They trust me, but they don't know you yet. So there is
exactly.
a sequence that you have to go through to kind of earn that trust, right?
Yeah, and figuring out who they are, because it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's about them. It's their journey. We have been invited into their journey. So it's our job to make sure that we honor their journey. It's not about us.
Yeah, I love that. Now let's flip the script. So I sent you a referral, you crushed it, you did a great job. You have a referral to send out across the country. You don't know me and you're looking for a good referral partner. I guess what differentiates an average agent from a great agent and who's going to actually get that referral?
Oh boy, and I don't know you?
Yeah, like you're looking for an agent in my market and maybe you see me on social media and 3 other people. Like how are you vetting agents that you're sending out referrals to and choosing the partners?
I'm actually going to people that I trust. So
Okay.
if I don't know anybody in your area, I'm gonna go to probably someone just outside of your area and say, listen, I don't know anybody in London, and I know you're close to London. You're in Toronto, and I trust you. Do you know anybody in London that you would trust a referral to? I need them for a buyer or seller. Here's a personality. Whether I think I want to make sure that someone is being handled that knows me and might know who I'm referring to, because people can put out a social media presence. So I was actually talking about this with my coach this morning.
Mhm.
People can put a social media presence out there that looks like they're producing, looks like they're fun, looks like they know what they're doing, and it could all be a show,
Mhm.
because social media is very much about top of mind, and sometimes you might come across people that they're good at doing that, but maybe they've only done a couple of deals throughout the year and they don't have a lot of experience, and maybe you need someone with a lot of experience.
Mhm.
So I think I would be referring word of mouth. I think is important, just like what you said with the guy in your office, right? He didn't know anybody out here. He went to you. You said, call me. So and that comes from relationship building.
Yeah.
Right. I think this business is so important about relationships. And I think people miss that. Like they miss, some people miss the importance of building that relationship, whether it's with our clients, whether it's with our colleagues. And yeah, I just think it's so important.
Yeah, so I actually just Googled Storm Fletcher because back when we met in the clubhouse days,
Yeah.
I realized Storm was somebody who was all over and she was great, very empathetic, was super dialed whenever she talked. You mentioned Richard Robbins earlier, and I would jump to the same conclusion, right? If I was looking for an agent, I'm going to my ecosystems first, right? I'm calling
Yes.
the people that I know in the area. Maybe if it's not in your territory, but it's a couple hours from me, you probably know somebody. And I definitely think that's the right approach versus what I can't stand in the industry is people that just champion their logo above everything else, right? They
Yeah.
just call their office branch because they want to keep it within the ecosystem when it's not in the best interest of the client. And the other thing that you mentioned was the smoke and mirrors in this industry. And I have to keep course correcting people where I'm like, I don't want to be a speaker. I don't want to be an influencer, even though it says speaker in my bio on Instagram. I want to be known as a practitioner, as an actual
Yes.
agent who's in production that's absolutely crushing it and involved in my files versus you send me a referral and a junior agent gets it and I'm completely disconnected. And love leveling up my systems too. So the 6 email sequence, my assistant Chloe is on the background of this call. Chloe, I need you to send that to Alex and verify if that matches up with our action plan, because we have one, like we track it in
Yeah.
Follow Up Boss and we have a sequence of events, but we're always looking to improve it. As you were going from being a newer agent to doing some production to creating these robust systems, obviously Richard Robbins helped you implement that, but like, how much time do you spend working on the business versus servicing clients, and how do you balance those two things?
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. And my assistant, Lindsay, who has been with me now 8.5 years, is probably the person that deserves all the credit in regards to creating the systems that I need. And you know how important our people that are support us are, how important they are to us. So whenever I would either get a question twice or run across an issue twice, it would flag me to say, Lindsay, we've just had this question. Now a client has asked this question 2 or 3 times. We need to work it into the system. We need to answer this question before they ask it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first started, our systems were very, very simple. And it has gotten more detailed as I have called and said, we need to answer this before we do this. So she has created her own systems on how to manage that. But that's how it's created. I am not a systems. Okay. I was going to say I'm not a systems person. I can't say that because I am very much a system running agent.
Yeah.
However,
Not a builder.
I'm no, like
Yeah.
I am a fly by the seat of my pants. Let's go on a trip tomorrow. That's me, right? Like
Yeah.
I just love doing that kind of stuff. But I recognize the importance of systems, and I have put people around me that do what I don't like doing. So I have put my assistant in place in order to create the systems. I have my husband that looks after all of my finances for my company because I don't like doing that either.
Of course.
So I've really learned to delegate, to take off my plate what I don't like doing, number one, because if you don't like it, you're not going to do it. And it frees up my time in order to spend time building relationships with people that has just grown my business over time.
Have you read Traction by Gino Wickman?
No.
It talks heavily about the visionary and the integrator, right? The visionary being
Right.
the person that can put energy behind ideas, can come up with creative solutions, and again, fly by the seat of their pants. The integrator is the person who then gets tasked with actually implementing the ideas, which it sounds like you've got that set up. And I think that's such a key piece, because really, if you think about it, your highest and best value is relationship building. It's everything that you said, likely keeping your referral network primed, being in touch with your clients and communicating with them. Now, in terms of that, as you scale, say, the volume that you're doing, I'd be so curious, how do you keep it personal? Is it always you handling every single file, or are they okay calling you and having your team handle their file?
So I think that's really that has been what I'm learning, especially with my sons coming on board. So Calvin joined me 4.5 years ago, and Tyler is 2.5 years now. So because we're a family business, we make sure that when clients come to us, they're getting a team. They're getting all of us.
Yeah.
So at minimum, it's if it's a referral to me, number one, first of all, I ask the referring agent, are you okay if two of us are on this file?
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because sometimes I'm pretty busy going back and traveling due to the organized real estate part of my my profession. So sometimes I'm out of town. So sometimes I need the guys. If someone says, no, Kim, I really want you to handle it. Okay, no problem. I will handle it. But sometimes I'll need that coverage when I'm out of town. The other way we work our system is I work with all of our sellers, and the two guys work with our buyers, and they're getting very good at being that buyer agent, knowing the product and all that kind of stuff. So when I present us as a team, it's like, listen, you're getting 2 for 1 or 3 for 1, and we're both going to be involved. We're in a group text together. So it's not that I am never part of it, and I will pipe in. One of us will take the lead on it, of course, but I have trained them, and we work as a team. We're always communicating back and forth in front of the client, so they know they're being looked after. So we haven't had any issues with people saying, no, I don't want to work with, your son. I want to work with you. I have had the odd agent want me to work with someone for a specific reason, and that's totally fine.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of how we've had it. And we haven't had any issues with that. I think it has to do with the communication to the client as to
100%.
why we're working the way we're working, and it's to support them and their journey.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as vice versa. When I get referrals and people call me, like if they call me and they're like, hey, you have to handle this yourself, or I just need to send it to somebody else because of XYZ, there's situations where I'll do that. But in many instances, if say you called me for something commercial, like I have a commercial specialist who knows more about the commercial market than I do. You actually don't want me handling everything. You want my systems, you want my leverage, you want my integrity. That's what you're hiring. And it's the same thing when I send somebody to you or Ken Pozak or whoever I send it to. I know Ken's not going to do the file, but I know how Ken's system operates. I know the systems, the leverage, the ethics, and how they do things, and the excellence within that organization. And I explain that to my clients. I think the only time problems come up is when people don't explain things to, say, the buyers or the sellers, and then they feel like, oh, I just got shuffled off to a junior agent, not understanding the actual checks and balances that are in place, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because whether they get me, Calvin, or Tyler, the systems are the same. It's literally just the person in front of them that is going from house to house to house, that is helping with, what do you think in value, that is pointing out things about a house that we should look at that, we should look at that. So it's, and the three of, and my boys are both Red Seal electricians. So
Amazing.
they actually,
awesome.
So they have some great experience to
more
be
than
in
you
homes with buyers.
for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. I think, again, it speaks to your integrity, and I know how you run your operation. I did want to touch on the state of the industry, organized real estate. I know, I sat on professional standards, MLS advisory, brokerage advisory, did it for years. I don't do it now just because of time commitments, but I do admire you so much for still being involved. I think it matters so much. What are some of the really big conversations that are shaping the future of organized real estate right now?
Oh boy. I think there's things always coming at every industry all the time, right?
Yeah.
AI is a big conversation for a lot of people right now. It is changing all of our lives on so many different levels, including real estate.
I'm not even
Um,
here. This is my AI avatar. I'm kidding.
is it?
Okay, who knows? It's scary out there, but I agree with you.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think the challenge is um I think when people use AI in a way that hurts transparency, that hurts our industry
Mhm.
because our industry relies on transparency for our clients to build trust with us, with their
Mhm.
biggest investment of their lives.
Yeah.
So if AI is being used to trick someone into believing a post or anything like that, like I don't like that. I don't
Sure.
use AI that way. I use AI to create efficiencies, to make sure that I'm writing things that sound a little bit more professional. I can put all of my thoughts, and because I'm not a great writer, but I can put my
Sure.
thoughts down of what's so important to me, and maybe have it write something up so there's like, oh, okay, you know what, I like that, and now I edit it to be a little bit more like me. So I think there are some good uses for AI, but I think as an industry, we have to think a little bit differently about AI too, because our clients are using AI too, right? So if
Mhm.
our clients are using it, how are they using it? And how are we going to make sure that we support them in using it? Because people are going to use, they're starting to use AI more than search engines.
Yeah.
They're not, they're going to AI instead of asking Google. So it's,
YouTube as well. Actually, I was just talking to a huge YouTuber last week, and he told me that it's actually happening where there's more AI searches about things that people used to look at on YouTube. So YouTube's changing the length of videos you need to post and whatnot to kind of
yeah,
keep up. And I guess Google owns Gemini, so they're involved in that whole conversation. But
yeah.
it is moving at a rapid pace, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's something that I'm not scared of AI. I
Mhm.
think we just need to be cautious, and we
Of
need
course.
to be aware, and try to stay somewhat educated about, which is so hard because it's evolving so fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool. I was at an event last
Yeah.
night. We were talking about it, and one guy was very scared of it. The other guy was a scientist. It was interesting to watch them go back and
Yeah.
forth. But I said to them that I told my daughter the other day, AI is like a chainsaw, right? You need to learn to use the tool and not rely on the tool, or not understand that the tool can be dangerous, right? And I think it's like social media. A lot of agents learn to rely on social media and became a slave to the tool rather than using the tool to accomplish what they want. I feel like AI is the exact same. You can use it to be more human, synthesize your thoughts, synthesize your data. I've learned how to become a better writer using it, but I also do the writing at the beginning. I ask it to edit it like it's a Hemingway, and then I take the last portion, and I always make sure that it's my voice. Every word that I've written is me actually writing it, but you can use it to bounce ideas off of, do I ramble and go down wormholes and use improper punctuation and grammar, which I do. But that's how you can use the tool versus just saying, hey, send an email to Kim, prepping her for this podcast and being lazy and not actually reading it. And then I send it to you and you're like, oh, this was AI garbage output.
Right.
You're going to lose
Yeah.
trust in me. And I think that's what's happening with
Yeah.
a lot of agents that are just phoning it in when it comes to AI, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
so as an industry, I think we need to be careful about that because we want to make sure that we're building transparency and trust, not tearing it apart.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's the big anchor in this episode is the transparency and trust. I do want to let you get back to your job because I know you're an active agent in production. You absolutely crushed it. Would love to get you back on for a longer episode down the road. Today was an absolute masterclass when it came to the ROI of empathy. Kim, thank you for showing us that you don't have to choose between doing a top producer and a good human being. And if you're watching this episode, share it with one person who's forgotten why they started in this business. And it's to help people actually find a home. Kim, anything you want to say to the audience before I let you go?
Oh, no, just thank you so much for having me. And if anybody wants to know more about the Okanagan, to just give me a shout. I'm sure you've got all my contact information.
I definitely do. You're on the prime agent referral map. And I would encourage everybody to actually go on Instagram. This is a great way to activate relationships with the show. Reach out to her directly. She's an absolute killer. She's very good at what she does. And I learned a whole bunch of stuff today, and I hope you did